Podcast 15 with Ivy. Ivy, welcome.
Hi, thank
Hello.
you for having me.
Yeah, this is the second early morning podcast I'm doing. So how are you feeling?
Very tired.
What were you doing last night?
I was watching the midnight premiere of Doctor Strange. So like it's the showing before it actually gets shown in theaters
Oh,
because I was helping with drawing the theater art.
yes, and they
Like
allow the
on
people who
the
draw the theater art to view it, the midnight
yeah,
premiere,
and then
right?
you get to watch the movie before everyone else.
Wow. Are you a Marvel fan, or is this like the first you were just doing it as part of your job?
Not really. Well, it's not really my job. It's actually my roommate's friend works at the cinema, and then it just so happens that I was here, so she just brings me along. And I don't even get paid. I just get paid for movies.
Gotcha,
So, and
gotcha.
I don't even like Marvel. But
Oh,
my
it's
both my
good.
roommates like Marvel, so
Uh-huh.
they brought me along.
Gotcha.
And it's actually really good.
The first time I met you, I found it that it's pretty interesting what you were majoring in, comp sci, but you were also going for art too. Are you still going for both majors, or art's a minor now, or what's the
Yeah,
situation with
art.
that?
Yeah, it's an art minor.
Ah, I see. So, I mean, like comp sci is pretty like in the STEM field. Art's more like humanities, or we wouldn't consider that STEM, but you kind of
Mhm.
like doing both. So how do you come to do both? And I guess we start there.
Yeah, of course. So art, I wouldn't really necessarily put it in the humanities field because art is like everywhere. And in the past, art has already always been kind of like intertwined with STEM. Like if you think about like doctors and stuff, right? And anatomy and that kind of stuff, like
Hmm.
artists would maybe like what do? They like dissect human bodies, kind of like how surgeons do it, but like just to draw it
So
rather
kind of like
than
Da Vinci, right? Da Vinci had the
yeah.
drawings of human anatomy and all that. Okay, okay.
Yeah, like Da Vinci was kind of a scientist, but he's also considered an artist.
He's a
So
polymath.
well, he's a lot of things, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like there's always been that bridge between STEM and art and even computer science. Like some of like the really cool stuff that you see in like movies, visual effects,
Hmm.
3D modeling. That's all something you need with art and computer science. Even actually like a basic website, like you need someone with a little bit of design knowledge at least to make it look good, right?
Right, right.
So
You can't just have
I would
people hard
say
code stuff.
I wouldn't say it's totally unrelated, but
Hmm.
I guess it is a little bit weird. Um,
You've
so
merged it
how
together, right?
Yeah, I did try because I really wanted to do something interdisciplinary with my comp sci degree because
Mm.
I think just comp sci, it's like a little, I don't know, bland. It doesn't
Mm.
really, it's just by itself. Like, what can you do with it? So I think computer science, especially now, it needs to be with something like computer science and math, computer science and history, computer science and something else, you know?
Gotcha. Well,
Um,
speaking about the comp sci part, there's a lot of talk about getting women into STEM, right?
mhm.
Especially into comp sci. I think a lot of the people who do comp sci are males. I don't know if that's still the case. And so,
Yeah,
how
I would say
do you
so.
feel that stigma, or how did you why did you go for comp sci? And do you find that like I don't know, there's challenges to women doing comp sci?
Um, I would say that there's still a gender gap, but it's better. And
Mm.
I think I didn't really see it as much because I came from a really comp sci heavy town. Like everyone did
Oh,
comp sci, like guys and girls alike did comp sci. And so when I came to Rutgers, I wasn't that surprised. I was just like, okay, well, this happens. So I think it was really like desensitizing myself to it. I was just like, go to my class and then I would just be like, okay, well, whatever. I guess I'm
mm.
like one of like 20 girls here. And
Out of a class of 150.
Yeah, we were like 100 or something.
Uh,
And to be honest, I feel like it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't really care.
okay, okay.
Yeah, like it doesn't really. I mean, I guess it does rub me the wrong way, but I can also understand where, like, why it is this way. I mean, computer science is also a relatively new field,
Mm.
and I can see why girls don't want to sit in front of a computer and code. Maybe it's me being old-fashioned, but um,
So what makes you different from these other girls that is there like a characteristics these 20 girls in comp sci have that other girls don't? Like you guys are kind of more like nerdy or like I don't know, like more abstract focus. Like you don't need to, I guess maybe like biology, it's like you see something in front of you or
mhm.
you deal with physical. Like comp sci is very like just code. It's bland and boring sometimes. I don't know. That's kind of me, but I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I wouldn't say there's something special. It's just like everyone finds their own niche somewhere.
Mm,
It's like it just so happens that the 20 of us or however many, it's like that's just how our brains work, you know? Like
mm,
that's it's not really a guy or girl thing, but I can see how there are factors around you that might influence. Like for women in STEM, like if maybe all of your friends are not in STEM, or because I know like most of my friends are in STEM or in computer science,
mm,
actually. So it's pretty easy for me to get into the mindset like I'm not the only one.
mm,
But if you come from a town, maybe you're the only girl who's ever done comp sci. Like it's a bit scary, I can see, because you're
mm,
kind of like trailblazing that path. Like for
yeah.
me, I come from a town with so many people doing comp sci. Only could to come to Rutgers with so many people doing comp sci and
Mm.
also having a lot of friends that do comp sci. And so it's yeah, I was indeed helped out with like a lot of my friends. Like they do empower me because they're just like they're also girls in tech and I don't want to be like yeah, so I'm just like wow, yeah,
Mm.
there's
Do
other
you
a
think
lot of
that
people like
people who
me.
do comp sci are wired, their brains are wired a different way than the rest of us? Because you put me in front of Python, Java, I even like I don't even know how to use C++, but like I hate it, you know? I'll do it for stats to kind of get it over with, but like I wouldn't want to spend my life doing that. So like you were saying kind of like different people find different niches. Right. So, is
Oh,
there like a
mm,
characteristic with comp sci students that you need to have or like is common with all of you, regardless if you're girl
mm,
or boy?
yeah, well, I would say no because I would
Mm,
say you could probably force yourself to like anything if you really wanted to. Because in high school, I hated comp sci. It was like my worst grade. It was actually like the one thing I sucked at. And
mm,
I ended up majoring in it because I wanted to go into animation. And I saw that if I couldn't major in animation or art, then I would have to major in the other aspect of it, which is technology or computer
mm,
science. Right. So yeah, I don't think it's really necessarily wired a different way. I think you just have to push yourself because for me, I saw computer science as like the only way to get to this animation goal.
mm,
So I just studied it. Like I think if you didn't have anything, like I didn't want to do bio or pre-med or pharmacy or anything. So I saw like comp sci was my only choice. So I don't know, I just kind of studied it. And I was horrible at it actually. Like in high school, it was like the one class I got a very like a lower grade in.
mm,
So and yeah, it didn't really make any sense to me. I didn't understand Java. I was like, why would you ever do this? Like,
mm.
but I
So,
think sticking with it, um, comes as contrary to most people and what they think. I think it's not that bad. It's kind of
mm,
a hack, I think, because it's kind of easy. But, anyways, I digress. I don't think these people's like people who genuinely love comp sci, I don't think their brains are wired. Essentially, they're like they just find it interesting. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like finding a genuine interest in
mm.
anything, like pre-med. I think people who do pre-med are like psycho. Like, why would you do that? But that's just me.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all looking at the grass is greener on the other side, or not greener on
Yeah.
the other side in this case. But I guess it's up to each individual, right? How
Yeah.
what they find. So you said something about you weren't that good at comp sci in high school, but you still went for it as a major. Did any practical considerations like a job after college like push you towards that direction? Because like with art, like I think it's harder to make a living or like a stable
Mhm.
living with art, right? But is it
Mhm.
possible to do that? Is that a consideration for you?
To be honest, no, because
Mm.
the art students are built different. I could never. Um, like
They're wired differently.
not only that, it's just like I don't know. Personally, I don't even like art students. They're kind of they're kind of their own breed because
Gotcha.
they just do art. And to me, that is also kind of crazy. Like, why would you just I mean, I can see why you just do art. Like you would do like installations and stuff, but
Mm.
that kind of stuff, you could really only get art jobs in the city. And at that point, you're getting paid per installation. Like you're living like paycheck to paycheck. That's awful. And
Mm.
I could never do that. Like
Gotcha.
if I were to major in art, like at the very least, I would become like graphic designer at least. I don't know, something applicable in my life. I don't want to just
Just
yeah.
paint.
Yeah, I don't want to
I
just paint.
see.
Like that's because that's like when you go to Mason Groves or some
Mm.
kind of fine art school, that's what they're teaching you. They're not teaching you like digital art or like computers or anything. Like they're teaching you how to sculpt with clay, like
Oh.
like the good old days. That's kind of insane. So
Watercolor they teach you, right?
I mean, like how many people or how many like famous sculptors do you even know these days? Like none. So that's what I think.
Have you played with sculpting before?
No, sculpting is hard.
Sculpting's hard. I see.
Yeah, they make it look easy in those pottery videos, but it's hard.
Mm,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but
Well, it's because of your comp sci and art background that I asked you to design an icon for me, right? For my YouTube
yeah.
videos, well, YouTube
Mm-hmm,
channel, because I don't have an icon. And so
mm-hmm.
thank you for designing it. And I still have to pay you. But why draw this? What was your idea behind it?
So I had to find things that are very unique to this podcast. What is making this podcast stand out from like the billions of other podcasts there are in this world? So I figured it's probably because of you. Yeah, there's probably not there's probably not another Austin doing something like this.
You think so?
So yeah, I think so. I think it's it's interesting. But
There's a lot of
um
people named Austin. My last name's pretty common.
I know, but who's doing it like you? Like this. But anyways,
Uh-huh. Sorry, digress.
yes. So I try to go for like a sketchier style just to show like, it's not a perfect podcast. There's like you're still working on it. It's like a work in progress.
Right.
And I chose like a very primary colors that, people would be kind of drawn to, like large, blockier colors,
Mm.
something like a more eye-catching color than just black or white. And then, of course, I added you mostly because of the reason I just said, because this podcast is unique because of you, right? Like you are the main thing that's making this podcast different from, say, another podcast, right? It's
Mm.
because you're the host. And so there are some very unique things, of course, I need to add, like your blue vest that you wear
You
in
got
every
that in,
podcast.
yeah. Even the collar in.
Yes, that is really important. I feel like, yeah, it's
Part of me.
part of you. Yeah,
Mm.
who else is doing this? But yeah, I wanted to go for something very like blocky,
Mm.
simple. I wanted to do something that was bold, kind of just reflective of uh like your vision for this podcast, I think.
Mm. Gotcha. Because I initially just told you the microphone and over the microphone is AW or Austin muted or something. and you completely like blew my expectations on in a good way on what turned out because of all you described. You said a microphone and just the words would be too simple, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because I can think about like a microphone, just some words. It's just like very basic, you know. It's
Mm,
just an icon, and this icon, you know, doesn't really have anything to do with you. I feel like I could take that, stick it on another podcast, and it would mean the
it would
same
still
thing.
work.
Yeah, like it's very general,
Mm,
very, you know,
right.
not. Yeah, I want something very unique, very,
Do you
and
do you listen to other podcasts?
well, I used to, but I don't listen to this kind of podcast where people just talk 1v1, I think. Or, well, I guess I do. I like to listen to people tell stories, like horror stories,
Horror stories.
like
Okay.
real horror stories. Like,
Oh, like real, like okay, in real
well, yeah,
life.
like
Jeez.
nonfiction stories about like wild things. Like, there are some crazy stories out there of like haunted everything, like
Uh-huh.
zombies, wizards, um,
Uh-huh.
ghosts, like, and I know it's definitely like not real, but it's kind of creepy how things have happened. Like, it's
Mm.
called lore, Lore, and it is wild. Like, the stories on there are like
Uh-huh.
top tier. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But that's like a more guilty pleasure type of podcast, you know? Like, I wouldn't listen to
Mm.
that like every day. Well, I did listen to it every day, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right, right.
Um,
Well, in the US, at least, growing up in the US, we kind of see like ghosts, zombies, these things, vampires as a cult or a cult, like OCCULT, right? But I asked my parents, and they believe these things actually exist. I don't know if it's because like in Taiwan or in China they encountered these things. Like my mom said, like one of her neighbors who lived above her was possessed. My dad said when he was serving in Taiwan, like they had a soldier that was possessed by the ghost of like people who died at the island. So
oh my
do your
gosh,
parents do your
yeah,
parents like
no,
believe in
actually, no.
ghosts? No, they don't.
Well,
Interesting.
that's a lie. I guess they do a little bit in the slightest sense. Like, it's not like it occupies their daily lives, like, oh, that's
Mm.
a ghost and stuff. But I guess they like tell stories of like ghosts that were like in their village and stuff. Or my dad than my mom though. But
Did they see it?
no, no.
No. Okay.
But I don't know. Actually, my dad used to talk about this fairy that used to live in like the bamboo leaves near his house. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I think it's wild. Like, oh my gosh, like
Yes. Sick.
it's so sick. Like, oh my gosh. But
Mm.
not for everyday listening because it is kind of scary when you start to think about it and like
It's your niche
everything's
though.
real. It's really like off-putting because it's real. It's like
Does it give you some excitement in life, you know?
I used to listen to it every single morning before high school, and it was the coolest thing ever. Yeah,
Got you
you should give it a
excited for the
listen.
day.
Yeah, in like the creepiest way. But you should give it a listen. It's so good.
Lore,
Anyways,
right? Lore.
just Lore. Yeah, like
Okay.
backstory lore.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but I also enjoy like how I built this, like the daily news. I enjoy like I've watched like so many that it's like kind of weird now. Um
Mm.
I like I think what this kind of reminds me of like, you know, like Nigahiga, his podcast where he just invites people. Well, I mean
He has
that's
a
like a lot of podcasts. But,
podcast?
well,
I
Nigahiga
thought
has
he
a podcast
I thought
that
he only
I
did videos and crazy videos at that.
oh no, he came on the podcast like in our
Is
freshman.
he more serious on it or no? He's
Yeah,
just
it's
his
like more serious. It's more like actual talk. Well, I mean, that's the thing is, this is what most podcasts are, right? Like just trying to be real, realer, I guess.
real.
Realer, but yeah. So,
We can't be completely real because there's some things when it's open to the world as a public forum, kind of.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that, yeah,
Like there's
I
some
don't
things
know.
you and I can say offline that we can't say to the world. Or like you don't want to know, you don't want people to know where you live and things like that, right? New Jersey's like good at that,
Oh, yeah, I mean, like
right? Yeah.
personal, private stuff. But well, I don't know. I think the point of podcasts is to address things that people have never addressed before. Like
Mm,
that's why you see podcasts about like they're like their whole thing is like, oh, we talk about failures or we talk about like disappointment or breakups or something like something very people talk about on a daily basis, to
right.
like get that out into the world. So
Mm.
maybe that's the purpose of podcasts, talk about things that you wouldn't normally talk about.
Talking about getting back into the world, it's been little over 2 years since COVID started and we all went into social distancing. I think 2 years ago was the last time I saw you physically in person, right?
Yeah.
So how have you been since then? Like anything changed? I feel like growing more fat because like I don't walk as much as in college. But
Um,
how about for you?
um, well, they've been pretty good actually. I've been living my life, and it changes. Not really. I'm still the same person, I think.
Still the same
Maybe,
person?
maybe, I don't know.
Did you find more time like initially when we were all trying to adapt, right, to being at home and whatnot? Did you find more time to paint, art, do what you want?
Yeah, well, there was definitely a lot more time to, not do as much stuff, I think.
Mm.
So that was nice.
Now you're back in school in person, right?
Yep.
Were you kind of getting sick of being at home, want a new environment, or you just wanted senior year, you get the best apartments at Rutgers, and so want to go?
Oh, I was excited to come back to Rutgers.
Mm.
Yeah, see see my friends, see like school life, I think. I mean, I did hate it being at home. That's the thing. I'm okay with either. Like, even my fall semester, like all my classes were online. So I was just like chilling in my dorm.
Will you have
But
an in-person graduation this year?
yeah, but I'm not going.
Oh, okay, okay. Are you taking like a
Yeah,
summer trip before your work starts or next stage in life?
no.
Okay, so I didn't either. So I was just wondering if some people
uh,
did. Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, it's pretty popular thing to do. But what's the other thing? Oh, yeah, no changes. Well, I'm sure, or I hope at least it changed a little bit. It's just not in the most, not in like a drastic way.
Mm,
Maybe,
gotcha.
yeah. Maybe my way of thinking is mature. I don't know. I hope I matured at least in the like we were gone for like what 3 years. Like no, if I didn't grow in those 3 years, that'd be very sad. But not sure if how I grew could be really put into measurable words.
Right.
Like yeah, like I grew this many inches, or I
Mm.
learned this much stuff, like that kind of thing.
You're about to graduate, so kind of like to your next stage in life. You also moved to New Jersey at some point, right? You used to be from Ohio.
uh, yeah, and
Do
but
you, do, but
I
you were
was like
what?
5. I was like 5.
Do you remember what it's like in Ohio? Like people nicer there, or I don't know.
Um, no, I lived in Ohio State. Because my dad was doing a PhD there, but no, well, because back then we were very poor, so I don't really remember anything
Because both your parents
except
were students, right?
just my dad. My mom didn't even have a job, so
Oh, it's okay. That's like my mom. She took care of you
yeah.
guys, right? You and your younger brother?
Well, I guess my mom did have a job. She was like a waitress, so but
Oh.
it's not like it's like paying bills or anything. But
Hey, waitress jobs pay bills. You earn
I
some money.
guess, well, I mean, I'm sure they do.
Like
There's,
you mean like the like stable like long-term career
yeah,
based
I
job?
mean, like, yeah, it was mostly my dad supporting us, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm,
But I don't remember anything.
gotcha. Most of what you remember starts in New Jersey.
Like, in terms of interactions with, I mean, I do remember things, just I don't remember my interactions with people. And also because I
Mm,
was 5, like, who was I interacting with? I don't think I was
right.
interacting with at all.
Mm,
Oh, but I do remember, yeah, because I was a different, I was 5, but I used to be like a big crybaby. So, like, whenever I go to preschool, I would just cry. So, but that's like
oh,
not
you
because
cried?
I'm mean or something. It's because I was a crybaby, you know?
Is it because you're away from your parents? I cried a lot in preschool because when I'm
Yeah,
separated
I
from
think because I didn't want to separate from my parents.
I think so. Yeah, I cried a lot. Yeah, everyone else was fine. That's just me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was the only one. I was just like in the back, crying
Mm.
24/7. It was so bad.
Yeah,
But you know,
I wonder if I'm still like that, you know? It's like still like
I'm
being with
sure you're
family.
not. It's
No,
like
but
because
like
you were
not
like 4.
crybaby, but like you want to stick with your family. You know how some people like after they go like for college, they want to go very far away from family, right? They want to go like just don't have mom and can't have mom and dad find me kind of
Yeah.
attitude, right? Or like after you graduate, you just want to stay in a city far away from mom and dad. Like I never understood that, and I guess people are like, Austin, you gotta move out of the house, you know, get your own experience, be your own person. But like, I don't know, maybe I still have that like cling to family attitude. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I would agree.
Mm.
I don't really want to leave my family either. Not because, like, because I'm like scared of moving out or living
Mm,
alone or something. You know, I just like being by my family.
right, same with me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get to do
So,
home improvement projects with my dad. He's still kind of like talking to me about yeah this stage in life and
mhm.
yeah being with brother mom it's good like I don't know like if you live alone it's probably really lonely but then again maybe not I don't know so yeah
Yeah, so it's good.
has these years changed like your outlook on life has college messed up or changed how you viewed like meaning of life or your life's direction or has that also pretty much remained consistent.
Um, a meaning in life. Um, maybe not. I
Hmm.
mean, actually, well, COVID did give me a chance to like really focus on art, and it helped me find a lot of new hobbies, which was fun.
Mm.
And I think, yeah, I mean, there were some takeaways from that, but I wouldn't say my meaning of life has changed. Maybe,
What is your meaning to life? I'm trying to find that right now for myself.
I don't know, but I don't think it's changed.
Hmm.
Maybe, yeah, live every day, live it happily.
Live
Uh,
every day happily.
yeah, I mean, try to
Hmm.
be positive. I know that's not the meaning of life, but like it's my outtake on
It's
how
a outlook on life, I guess.
I think, right, because how you're living your life kind of reflects your meaning of life, right? I
Mm,
don't know.
right. Do you think that like yeah, what you're saying by living your life you find the meaning. So the meaning is discovered then or invented?
I'm sure people go their entire lives without discovering like the meaning of their life put into exact words. I think it's hard to
Mm,
put into words.
right.
So,
What do you think it'd be like
uh,
once you find meaning of life, you know? Are you just like happy all
man, I
day
don't
or
know. I don't even
feel
know what
like
that
time
means.
you feel like you don't have time like you just sit you I guess like I don't know Bill Gates when he created Microsoft he just could go days on end just working at the project
Oh my gosh.
and then feel time is just gone like that.
So like finding that one thing that you're so passionate about, like that
Uh-huh.
you dedicate your life to.
Mm.
Is that what you mean?
I get
I
yeah.
wouldn't say I wouldn't say really found the meaning of life, but I was like, oh cool, that's pretty fun. And I'd be like,
Mm,
I guess this is what I'm doing with my life. But I'm not sure if it is the meaning of life, if that makes sense.
gotcha. Yeah, the reason I asked about meaning of life is because you know I guess I met you through church, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with COVID happening, it's it's kind of surreal and sad in a way, but like people died from it. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people died or got sick, right? Like long-term COVID symptoms. But like I think for me at least, I was relatively isolated, right? Even through all these waves, I didn't get it. But how like it's a atmosphere or being in the situation, you would kind of like, or at least for me, it shifts your worldview kind of to a more pessimistic or nihilistic tendency. Like if God's out there, oh, why would it
Mm-hmm.
happen? Right? Church justifies it by saying like, you know, we don't know what God's doing, right? But he's, I mean, there's hopefully like we get something, gain something positive out of it. But then I'm like, well, for those people who died, there's nothing they could gain positively out of this, right? But then it's like, well, think about yourself. But then, okay, think about myself. But then, I don't know. So I think about that too. Have I done the most I could given the circumstances now? And I'm not sure. And then also like this idea that, being like we should take advantage of the situation. It it almost seems like we're more conforming to the circumstances given to us rather than in control of our own lives in a way. Like kind of like in Old Testament when Moses needed something done, like God like did a miracle through him.
Mm,
So like you completely changed the situation. Like for us now, like trying to just adapt to COVID, it almost seems like we're just reactionary. It's like we can't do these miracles anymore. And so we're just going to make the best out of our situation. I don't know if
mm,
you've kind of had those views or it's just me.
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely thought about it more than I did because I do not think about that on a daily basis. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, no, it's not something I would just sit down and think about. But maybe,
Yeah, people
yeah,
around me say I think too much.
I don't think, no thinking.
Maybe that's better. Do you think not thinking is better? Because then it's just more simple. You can be happy that way. The more you think, the more issues come up, and then you can't really be happy.
Yeah, I guess. Ignorance is bliss. Is that what you mean?
Right,
I guess.
ignorance is bliss. Right.
Uh, I guess. I mean, it's not wrong, but
Like we don't
is it wrong
advocate
to
that as a
be?
society. We're always like, be a more informed citizen, right? Know what's going around you, things like that. But then at the end of the day, if you don't know what's going around you, if you're just focused on yourself, you can live a happier life that way. Now, whether that happiness is
Yeah.
genuine or not, I don't know. I don't want to say genuine. More like,
Well, like, don't you feel awkward being ignorant about what's going on in the world?
well, if you're
It's
ignorant, you don't
like,
know about it. It's only when you encounter someone who's
I mean, I
more
don't know if
informed,
anyone's truly ignorant these days. Like, I'm sure there's gotta be at least an inkling and an idea.
a kernel of reality.
A kernel, yeah, like, there's no one, I mean, maybe there's just
Mm.
someone who's oblivious to everything that goes on. And yeah, well, I'm sure there's some ignorance. Like we are pretty ignorant on, we're not like fully informed on every single little thing that's happening. I
We
feel like
can't
if you knew
be, right,
everything, yeah, just that's kind of depressing. But that you can't just be sitting here depressed about the world all day. Like,
right.
I mean, sure, it's depressing, but ultimately, you're just gonna have to do something with yourself. Like,
Do
are
you
you
think
just gonna,
like
yeah.
social media gives us a lot of information, right? Do you think as human beings we're meant
Mm-hmm.
to process that much information? Because I feel like right now, as a society, we're very polarized and we're afraid to say things because it might not be politically correct or, it's not according to social norms. Has that, I guess, changed how human beings interact?
No,
Do
I
you think?
don't know.
Don't know. Oh, okay.
Well, social media, right? I mean, social media's got its ups and downs, but like in
Has
terms
it made
of,
us more informed people?
yeah, I would say so.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I mean, like think about like the thing that like when I think sometimes like I think a couple of years ago there was a bombing in
Mhm.
Lebanon, right? And
Yeah. Mm.
I feel like if like 10 years ago nobody would have known. Like maybe our parents on the news, but there's no way.
Uh,
Like everyone knew, and it was on everyone's social media page, telling people to donate to this, donate to that,
right.
and like this is happening. This is what's going on every day. Like there's no way.
Mm.
There's no way like the normal day-to-day citizen would have known about these things happening so far away, you know. I think
Unless through like an institution like news or government, things like that.
yeah, like
Like Russia right
NBC or
now.
yeah, like or like the national news or something. Like I feel like
Right.
that's where it would be reported, but it definitely wouldn't have been reported on something like Instagram or something. And so I
Mm.
feel like maybe that's probably where most people get their news
Uh,
nowadays, like young
gotcha.
people.
Right.
like Twitter or something. Like,
Primary source news. You might record on your camera the event. Kind of like in what you Ukraine right now, right? They could just record like the war going on. So it's kind of like it's almost like the war is just being put in front of you in a way.
uh, yeah. I mean, like, because what is news? It's just like you could just take a video, and that's almost is that news?
Yeah, I guess, right? Like I mean like with
It's media. Yeah,
George Floyd, like
it's
the
like
Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. Someone recorded it and then put it on YouTube and then it flamed everyone.
yeah. I guess that's how it works.
Yeah. Or like Ukraine's like, oh, we destroyed a Russian tank or we're dragging a Russian tank, and then everyone sees it. Or like to counter misinformation. I don't know if social media creates more misinformation than information. But like, I don't know, Russia is saying like Ukraine is run by neo-Nazis, right? So with social media, it gives the Ukrainian government a chance to create a counter narrative, right? No, we're not neo-Nazis and we're staying here to fight, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I
Are you
enjoy.
interested in news or
No,
no?
no,
Okay.
no.
No worries then. No worries. Do you go on walks now at Rutgers? Well, I guess like to go to class you do, but like just like personal walks reflect. Or how do
Just
you like unlock your inner self?
the way I literally do not unlock my inner self because I have zero time. But
Oh, yeah, you're a college student. I understand. Busy.
um, I feel like talking to other people. I'm
Mm,
always talking to other people now. I don't know. Kind of observing how other people function in life
mm.
and then using that knowledge to think about myself. I
You
think
do a
it's
lot
like
of comparing with other people. I do that too.
and then also not necessarily in a bad way, but it's like I tend to look a lot at like my roommates because they're all very
Mm,
different people.
mm.
And like we have like one girl who's like on the shyer side and one girl who's like, yeah, a lot of different personalities, is what I'm trying to say. I like to look at how they function on the day.
Are you still building your website? Because when we were in person, you showed me the website you were creating on Google Sites. Have you changed sites since then, or still building on it?
Oh yeah, it's changed. Yeah, I think I'm less of a CS person. Or recently,
Mm.
I haven't learned any new CS.
But you have lighter course load these days.
I'm not taking any CS classes. I'm just teaching them. And I
Oh,
think that's where I find enjoyment in CS. Hmm. Yeah, if that
teaching and
makes sense.
talking with others. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
kind of, uh, yeah, kind of teaching the topic and seeing how other people are processing it.
Mm.
Very interesting to me.
Do you want to get a higher degree in like education or CS then? Because I don't
Mm,
know if there's a trend right now among like with my grade, it seemed that everyone's going for a higher degree, or if they
yeah,
didn't have work. Is that the case for you? Your grade?
yeah, but definitely maybe farther along the line, I want to
Mm.
get master's, maybe PhD in education.
Oh, okay. You get a what education is
Um,
special. It's not PhD, it's like ED or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's a PhD or a PhDE or something. There's an E in there.
yeah.
Um, but I think it's cool.
Well, that's really all I had. Do you have anything you want to ask or bring up?
I'm curious, like, what are you doing? What are you up to?
What am I doing? Well, I'm a data analyst at Shanghai Optics, and I got it because through a friend, and he saw that I was struggling to kind of find work after I graduated in May. So he's like, "Oh, you can intern here for June in the summer to see how it goes." I guess I did a good job, and so now I'm working full time there. Oh, are you interested in like what I do like on a daily basis?
Oh no, I mean, what does Shanghai Optics do?
They make precision optics, so like microscope lenses, projector
Uh,
lenses. Something called fish eye lens, which is like how fish eyes, they like when our eyes we can turn
mhm,
our heads to see things. Fish can't do that, so their eyes can see like almost
mhm,
180 degrees, and so like I guess they don't get surprised by a predator or something.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so I guess we replicate the fish eye and use it in like security cameras and whatnot to like have a wider
Mm-hmm.
field of view. And so I'm just kind of learning. It's in the optics field, right? And I didn't do any optics in high school, so a lot of learning. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Very different.
Yeah, it is very different. Completely unrelated to stats and history, I guess. Yeah, but I guess outside of work, just this podcast mainly, because like usually I record Thursday with someone, and then Friday kind of play games with Joseph or just relax. And then weekends I do the edits. I send it to the person for approval on Sunday, and then the week begins again, kind of. Yeah, but
Oh,
I don't really
okay.
know. Like people are telling me I got to do something else, like snap out of my routine, like. But yeah,
That's true. Be a little spontaneous.
yes, spontaneous. They want me to be more spontaneous and live life to more fully. Yeah, but
Well, there's nothing wrong with routine either. I love a good routine, but
well, it's kind of like I guess from my parents' perspective, I can only live a routine life because I'm at home. If I was by myself, I'd start like having other pressures from life, like pay bills, uh, cook own food, like keeping the apartment or house clean. And so
but
that,
you know,
yeah, then I
I
can't
think
be in a routine anymore.
no, I think if you live by yourself, you would have a routine.
Even more routine.
Yes, you'll be even more routine because
Hmm.
now you have that much more stuff to do. And knowing you, I think you would have a routine. But how do you think you would include spontaneity? Because sometimes things don't happen unless you make them happen. Like
Yeah,
you can't just sit in your house and
right.
I don't know, make friends or something. You have to go outside.
Right. Yeah,
So how are you going to do that? Spontaneity.
that's a good question. Um, my professor suggested that I just take like weekend trips by myself to Barnegat Bay or just take walks in New York City and just, I don't know, do that. And then maybe
Uh,
something comes up, reward myself with like plan a trip or something because I don't really do any travel. And so
mm,
said to do that. Um, like with interacting with people, this is something I'm thinking about. It's like, do I go back to church just to interact with people, or do I try to find like a new group and just start again, restart, So that's something I've been considering.
mhm.
How about for
Very
you? I guess in college you still with your roommates or your friends, it's easy to meet, but like I guess this is a bit foretaste from my experience. Like with work, you work with the same people. It's not like college where like a different class, you meet different people, different semester, things change up, right? So the
uh-huh.
amount of people you meet definitely decreases. I don't know if that you're gonna try to meet more people now or something like that.
Mm, yeah, actually, well, I've talked to people about this, but yeah. So I guess it's hard to meet new people. Yeah. So how do you plan on meeting new people?
I don't really have a plan, really. Um,
Well, that's true. Spontaneous. No plans.
spontaneous, no plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't really know. I guess that's something I gotta think about. Yeah.
Mm. But I used to talk with someone and they would always think about this life after college. And they were very concerned about not being able to meet people post graduating.
Mm, right. Because work
You
takes
might
up a
know who I'm talking
significant.
about.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, you definitely know them, but
Well,
maybe I won't like maybe I won't expose them on the internet. But
it's all
um
right. Yeah, but
yeah,
no, I think it's a good question. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe like reconnect with people from high school through this podcast. That's one of the things I plan to do.
That's
Once the people I
cool.
meet in college go back to high school because there's some really good friends I made in high school that we haven't contacted in a while. But like new
Mhm.
people, like a new group of people, I don't know like what group I would fit into. Like a young adult group, or like I take up like self-defense class or like karate or taekwondo and then just meet people there. I don't really know. It's just
I didn't
ideas I
know
have.
right. Taking classes.
That's one of the reasons my mom wants me to go back to school. It's like you get to meet more people that way. Maybe like meet your like future spouse or something. I'm like, mom, like that's not that's like that's not the purpose of going to higher ed. But I guess like for her, it's like, when you're there, it's a side thing to do. But I don't know.
Yeah. I was gonna say something a lot.
What do you say?
I was saying you should go to FTTA. Your future self.
Well, no, like that's like if I do go to FTTA, it's for God and you personally, the personal relationship. I guess some people might go, it's like, on the side, I might meet someone, but like,
It's very funny to me.
yeah, I personally think it's like a rite of passage in church now. And so I don't like,
It's
yeah. I don't know about you. Like, have you thought about that?
no,
FTTA, full-time training in Anaheim.
probably not.
I
Yeah.
guess that leaves open the question for you. How are you going to meet people too, right?
That's true. Well, I am moving up to North Jersey where all my roommates live. So
Oh, you're moving to
maybe,
North Jersey?
yes.
That's where I am too. Okay. Union County.
No, even more north of you.
Oh, like Bergen County?
Yes, Bergen County.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. That is very north.
Yeah. So just so happens both my roommates are from North Jersey, Bergen County to be specific.
Wow. You might know my
So I
cousins.
think no new friends. And
Mm.
I think you meet friends from friends.
Yes.
Like,
That's how some people meet. Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Their
right.
friends suggest, like, I think you guys would be a good match. And then they meet that way.
Yeah. I guess it is a bit harder once you've graduated to talk to these people. And I've always thought, I feel like it's even harder for guys to stay in contact with other guys.
Why, you think it's in our nature to, like, be independent?
No, I think like most guys are too prideful. And especially, well, I used to talk about this with someone else too, but like guys are like very surface level with each other. Like you would never talk about something like very deep. And then it's like, well, you graduate without ever getting to know like a deeper side of another person. I guess it's not relevant to you because you talk with, it's like you're kind of a different breed from other people, but like, you know what I mean?
I observe what you observe, though, I think.
Yes, right.
Some
And I
people
don't think it's your experience. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think you've seen it,
but I
but
feel
it's
it,
not you.
like from other people, like you want to get
Yes.
deep with them, but they always have like a hidden side that they don't want to reveal,
Yes.
right? Or like
yes.
but I think it also has to do with like group setting. If you talk with one-on-one, it's easier to like get to know a person better, kind of like right
It's
now.
true.
But like if you're in a group setting, it's very easy to. That's why like I think that's the problem with church. It's like if you only meet people in meetings, then you really know them surface level. You never know them in a deep way.
Yeah,
I
no, I
think
agree.
that's an issue. Yeah, because then you
Yeah,
go all 4 years and you really don't know the person. Yeah,
it's very true. And
yeah,
no, yeah, but
yeah. It's something I talk with my brother with. It's like, have we always been bad as humans forming relationships, like deep relationships with other people, or is it just our generation? And if we're so bad just this generation, how do we improve? Isn't it by practicing, like talking with other people? But then I guess I don't know. It's easier to not
I
practice.
guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the church, it's like a lot of topics are very taboo, and that's very awkward.
Oh,
And
like
I don't like how awkward it is.
brother sister relationships, things like that. Marriage. Do you think that's a taboo topic?
Well, I'm sure, yeah, in a sense, it is pretty taboo. I don't know.
Oh,
I just think it's like kind of funny, but also kind of sad at the same time.
it's very sad because I think what you sacrifice for topics being taboo or you don't talk about these things is genuineness, because then people don't know what to talk about.
No, it's so true. Oh my goodness. And then it's like, you get to know the spiritual side of other people, but like, what are they really like,
Well, church
And
kind of like tones that down too, because they're like, in the end, we want to be more spiritual people rather than soul people. But then it's like, well, I think you skipped a couple of steps there, right?
So I don't even know. Well, maybe they are just a spiritual human being.
I don't think so. Everyone has soulish needs.
Everyone, I don't know. It's kind of hard to like see someone's personality just from.
No, you don't see their personality from a spiritual thing, because the spirit, I think, is
That's what I
always
mean.
right.
That's what I mean. It's weird. It's awkward.
But then also, like, I guess physically, like we used to eat together as students, right? So at least you could see like eating habits of people. So physically, like what they like to eat
the
and
thing is
whatnot.
like, okay, no. That's so true. When you're in person, at least you could see the other person. It's
Yeah.
like over Zoom because there's so many topics that are taboo and it's so awkward. I can't just think about it. It feels so awkward.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, that's so true.
You're right.
And
It's yeah. I get you completely. It's the Zoom thing, it's like, yeah, it's even
right,
easier to
it
put up
like
an appearance, right? You could
exacerbates
wear
how awkward everything is.
Uh-huh.
And I can't.
Mm.
No, the
Oh,
way
it's
this is
okay,
going up on the internet.
but
That's very funny to me.
but it's genuine. That's what I go for. Yeah. Dean
No,
was
it
telling
is
me
genuine.
Dean was telling me the other
Uh,
podcast, it's like, well, there's some things you can't put on there.
that
But
is
then I'm
so
like,
true.
yeah, but I'm like, that's the genuine content. It's just it's like what people really want to talk about. Whether what people want to listen to it, that's another thing, but that's up to them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, well, that was my take on um,
On asking me a
meeting people
question.
at meeting people at church, I guess.
Hmm. Well, now that everything's going back physically, are you going to come back?
Come back there to
Like
church
to
meetings.
meet? Yeah. Or are you going to kind of be like
Um,
me, like a renegade, rogue?
I'll definitely I'll go to meetings. It's not that's the main thing that I didn't like was how so many topics are just off the chart.
Hmm.
You can't say stuff. And that's like I can understand it, but it's just like why? Well,
It's
not
almost
why,
like
but like
political correctness in a way. It's
yeah,
like,
it's like you have to always be saying the right stuff.
hmm,
And like what if you're not? Like
mhm, mhm,
it's like there's so many like hard cut rules
hmm.
for some reason, like that is just implicit. That I think most people would find weird if you were not in the church.
Right. That's probably why we have trouble getting new members.
It's like I don't know, very shocking to me now looking back.
Hmm,
But it's not that I. It's not a belief thing. It's not that I don't believe in what the church is talking about, or I don't believe in like this or that, or I don't want to go to the meetings because I don't believe in Christ or something. It's
hmm.
just like it's very awkward, you know?
I
Like
know.
I go to meetings, but I feel like I have to say something correct. And I know it's just all in my head, but the way that I feel like I have to say something correct
It's
seems
kind
a
of
little
wrong.
not, yeah, it seems a little not right to me. Like, why do I feel this way in the
Mm,
first place?
hmm.
So,
I'll send you something to read that I wrote. We'll see how you think about that. Yeah, it kind
yeah,
of relates to
so,
what you're talking about.
yeah,
But how
and
about you personally with God? There's the church
I
side of
agree.
things, but then like has your personal relationship, I guess, with God changed over COVID or since we last met?
Personal ideas with God.
Or
Uh,
relationship. Yeah.
I think of maybe it's like I feel like God is just kind of like by my side, or I'm at his side, or some sort
Oh,
of
really?
side to side relationship.
That's better than me. I feel like I'm very far from God. Yeah.
But it's not, it's like, I think before, because I'm in this setting of church, very
Mm,
taboo topics, it makes you kind of reflect on yourself, like what is right, what is
mm,
wrong. And I feel like there's a lot of right and wrong that's already been set by the church, kind of,
mm.
right?
Right.
Or even if they don't explicitly say it, sometimes you do things and you're like, this is wrong. But
Mm. You do it
why is
anyways.
it wrong? But you know it's like it's wrong because the church think it's wrong. You know what I mean?
Right. But you haven't reached that conclusion yourself.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not actually wrong.
Mm,
Like maybe it is, but the guilty feeling that you get, like your conscience.
mm.
But I don't even know if it's like conscious or if it's just me thinking about
Like social
being
norms.
socially correct at the church. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean?
I know what you
Like,
mean.
right. So, um, I think,
What's one of them? Like dating a brother?
um, dating a brother, that's, maybe, or, well, dating a brother would definitely be like, right. You feel like it's not right.
But you want to get
When
to
in
or
sense, you're
uh-huh.
just two people. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense.
You want to know the
But
person more, right?
yeah, or like
Yeah.
guy. Oh yeah, but like, even being friends with a brother, or like a brother being friends with a sister, it's like I feel like I'm being judged. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. I know.
And
Yeah.
it's very awkward.
So I think the
Um,
reason church does that is because they're afraid of one of the things that could happen. It's like they break up, right? But then my question is like, does that risk outweigh the benefit of like forming a deeper relationship with people? Do you kind of know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
they don't want any risk at all. So by mitigating all the risk, you create this like bland and like very like socially awkward atmosphere,
no, it's so true. And I
right?
understand. That's the thing. I understand why they would do it. It's like if I were in their position of trying to keep the church intact, like maybe I would do the same thing. But why is it like so
but
okay,
that's
I think it's a little too extreme. But
but
it's
that's
like
what happens when you try to mitigate all of it. It's like China's COVID zero policy, or like if like
yeah,
yeah, right,
it's like
or at home, like you don't want your parents don't want you to like get bad things in your head or get hurt, so they just keep you at home all day. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
it gets rid of all the risk, but like you
But
also don't
don't you
grow.
think you'd be such a more well-rounded person if you knew what the world was and like being more
I'm with you on that.
worldly doesn't necessarily make you less spiritual to me. You know what I mean? Like
Plus,
I
right?
know the
Yeah.
world is death, blah blah. It's like, you're
Uh
dying
huh.
just by being out in the world. But like,
You're also dying if
how
you're
is that
like that
even
in church,
possible?
right?
It's like, I don't know. It's like hard to
I'm
put the
with you,
words,
Ivy.
but
I'm with you. That's why I kind of stopped too, because it's like I just want to figure out what's real and what's right and wrong for myself, rather than
yeah,
something being dictated to me because of social
yeah,
norms. You
right.
know?
hmm And I don't think that it's like when you do something wrong, suddenly like God is very far away or something. I don't know how to explain it. But like, I don't know. I'm trying to think about him as like
Mm.
my friend, you know? It's like even if I was doing like
Something really bad.
worldly, well, something really bad, like I'd still have a conscience. Like it can't be that bad.
Mm,
I mean, things that are considered bad by other people. It's like,
understood.
but it's hard to explain. But I don't think it's. I don't know. I just think it's just so awkward. That's one word to describe. And yeah, and I'm cringing, and that's yeah.
Well, that went pretty deep. uh,
Well, I no, I just suddenly thought of ideas. It's so funny to me, but yeah,
oh,
it's
the
so
whole
true. Like
situation,
nobody
right?
talks about it. It's like funny and sad at the same time.
It's funny and sad, right? That's what I said. It's funny and kind of sad
It's
at the same
and
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is funny and kind of sad at the same time. Oh my gosh, no, it's
Uh
so
huh.
true.
Yep. Yep.
It is so true.
Maybe next podcast we'll talk about possible solutions.
Solutions.
Right. Or
Oh
like
my god, I
how do
think
you fix
I
a
think
problem or is it
I,
unfixable?
I think down that. I think there's no well, there's not no fixing, but it's definitely hard to fix.
Hmm, I
Maybe
know.
a new generation of people, right? But like every generation is like the same. Like I don't even understand how that's possible.
Right. So it's kind of like a negative feedback loop, as the people like kind of like your age, college graduates, they don't leave the church life. There's no one to break the next generation out of the cycle. And so they just get in the same feedback loop, right?
Yeah,
They're
because
stuck in a for
they
loop.
no. It's like I don't wait,
Oh,
oh my
you
gosh.
like that? They're stuck in a for loop?
No, no. Like not that. It's like I think, or this is just what I think,
Oh
that
yeah.
you say you have these working saints.
Mm,
Like I won't name names, but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe
mm,
serving ones.
mm,
And us as college students tend to look up to them. It's like, wow,
mm-hmm.
they have children, they have a family, they're married, and
Mm.
they are so spiritual, and they have like this loving family and so caring, and
I
everything's
want to
so
be like that.
perfect, and
Uh-huh.
you just want to be like them, and you want to bring your children to the meetings, and they're gonna like be at the whole meeting, and this is a very idealistic perfect view, and it's like,
Mm.
wow, I'm gonna have like this wedding at the church venue, and like blah blah blah. It's like, wow,
Uh-huh.
beautiful. And that's exactly what happens, right? Like us as college students, maybe they'll go to FTTA, maybe they'll become a working saint, and it's like perfect. It's like, and
I
it's
mean,
just
that's
like this endless cycle
uh-huh.
of being the perfect, like living the perfect life,
Mm.
like what they envision to be the perfect life. And
And yeah.
because it's like this for every brother and sister in the entire church, it's very the same. Everyone is the same. And I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure maybe it's just what I've observed, but it's giving the same.
You get you kind of put into words what I see too. But for me, it's like, well, then why do people leave the church life, right? Because if it was all perfect, then no one should leave. The whole thing,
Because,
because they can't take this. They don't see like the point of this,
well,
right?
actually, I can might be with you because, well, I'm sure they have their own reasons, but I would say, yeah, it's very like if you don't resonate with that kind of lifestyle, it's over.
Right? You
It's
wouldn't do it.
over. You wouldn't, yeah, like um, what was I gonna say?
You have to want to live it to be in it, right? If you don't want to, then it's
Yeah,
like,
if it's not your
right.
dream to live like that, it's over.
Mm,
There's
right. And
no way
I
you
don't think it
could
should be like that. You know what I mean? Like you say, like, and I observe this too. That's why I don't want to go to full-time training because see it as like a rite of passage. It's just the next stage of being a church kid.
Oh my
So I
gosh,
don't
yes,
want to
yes,
do
yes,
that. I don't
yes,
want to
yes,
do
yes,
that.
yes.
So I'm trying to show that like what other way is there? Well, in church there is no other way really. You're a bad kid then. You know what I mean? Quote quote bad kid.
But I
And
think
so
the thing is, I think it's only with church kids. People who come into the church when they're like
oh yeah,
30,
that's
40,
another story.
they are
Yeah.
genuinely, I understand where they're coming from. They're just genuinely interested in God.
Yeah,
I think
right.
for church kids, the next generation of the church, right, isn't like the church kids.
Mm,
And they are all like this.
right. Well, maybe we'll help some of them snap out of it.
I don't, it's just like, huh? But maybe I'm gonna get roasted one day for
Well, I'm
saying
already
this.
getting roasted, so
Okay. Well,
I just don't
it's
care anymore. Like you. You say you don't care about certain things. I used to care about what people think about me. I just don't care.
like in
I
the
need
church,
I don't
like
pull my punches anymore. Yeah. If they're doing something stupid or I feel like it's like indoctrination level without being at indoctrination level, I'm like, no, yeah, we're not doing this. Yeah. Or I'm
well,
not doing this. Yeah.
what would you say is an example?
Memorize verses or you don't get lunch.
Oh, but like that was like when we were a kid, right?
Well, there's that children meeting. Let's see. Like if you say like we need to give our all for God, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Give your all. Why have a job then? I'll question these things. We need to be absolute for God. Or gospel preaching's like fruit bearing. It's like uh, it's not a quick thing. It takes time to grow in life. Well, I'm like, well, how many fruit have you gotten in college? I've got zero. Am I a failure then? You know?
Um, yeah, I guess. But
Or
I guess
this question I asked you, what's the meaning of life? If you say something like that God would make man the same as he is in life and nature, I'm like, great, that's something church tells you. What does God's eternal purpose mean to you personally? Do you know what I mean? Like there's the
mm-hmm.
objective fact that we speak, but is it subjectively true? Like how do you accomplish God's eternal purpose in your life? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
well,
Yeah.
it is a heavy, it's a large thing to think about. And
Right.
maybe that's what it takes your entire life to think about
Hopefully not.
how
But I think this
God
objective
is using you.
subjective dissonance is the root of the problem. It's kind of like what you're talking about. We're so spiritual, but it's not the spiritual. It's just objectively, we don't have
It's
any
just fake
subjective
spiritual. It is fake spiritual.
spiritual. But like
How is
spirit, I
everyone
don't.
spiritual in the exact same way? Now that is something.
I think that's doctrinal. Doctrinal. That's
It
not.
is
Yeah, I
literally
don't
you
think it's
see
spiritual. Spiritual,
other
you feel
people.
filled. You feel filled. You're like
Yes.
happy. I don't think what we have is spiritual. You know what I mean? We think it's
Yeah.
spiritual because objectively it should be that way. Like we read about it, it's like, huh, spiritual people are so and so, right? Or but then it's like if you don't have the essence of it, it's just like makeup over a dead person.
Mm, mm, mm. I think you can definitely fake being spiritual.
You could, right? And it's easy to, right?
Yeah.
Like physically, like you can't fake being like skinny or fat or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I guess you
I
kind of
think you
could.
can really mind control yourself into thinking you're spiritual. And that's the
That's a
sickest
danger
part.
too. I think that's a danger. Yeah, because
Yeah. Thinking
yeah,
you're trying so hard to be spiritual by acting spiritual.
yeah, that's kind
That's
of
wild.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like you said, it's wild. I don't know how else to describe it,
Dude, I'm
but yeah.
telling, oh my God. Wow. I'm glad we talk about this at like 7:30 in the morning.
Well, it's 8:53 now, so. But no, I think it has to be said, and yeah, I'm still thinking about what to do. I'm
Mm,
kind of in a rut, so yeah, because it's
mm.
like you said, it's not like I'm like a Satanist now, or like I hate God and things like that. It's just like, well, why'd you put me through this experience then? All these 4 years of college, what was I wasting my time, like being with the saints and other people? I don't like to say that, and I think it sounds really bad saying it, but
It does sound so bad.
right, so you
When
don't
it's
so
like,
you don't want to say it, but then it's like, well, I have to really consider it. Well, how about my cousins or like my roommates who weren't in the church life? Where are they now? If I spent time
well,
outside of church life, would I have been different or better?
I I don't know. I feel like, well, I've made some genuine friends in the church. Like
Okay.
before, I used to say I used to have no friends.
Mm.
It's because I genuinely felt like I had no friends. Because, like, the church, are they really your friends? Maybe. Maybe you say that out in the world. It's like, these are my friends. But, like,
Mm.
they're not really your friends.
Oh, you're saying
Like,
in the
sure, I'm
church.
sure, like, they'll do things for you. Like, they'll be there for you if you're in trouble, or
Uh-huh.
it's like the perfect friend, right? Like, they're there for
Uh,
you, they're there for you, they're like your companions in life. Something seems a little off. I never really felt like I was friends with like some of the sisters, you
oh,
know,
gotcha. How about
but
but uh-huh.
there were other people I did feel like I was friends with because, you're but I guess the concept, oh, it's very deep, but like I think the concept of friends itself is, I
Mm.
guess, very worldly, like what is a friend, blah blah.
Oh boy,
But
this
I
could
feel like
whole
my
nother
feeling of
podcast.
friendship, like friendship, like feeling close with someone, getting to know them on another level. I really only got to do that with like one or two people in the
Mm.
church.
But now you have friends outside of church, right? So
And
you can't.
yeah, so that's the thing. Like, even though maybe like my roommates, they're not Christian or they're not spiritual,
Uh-huh.
I feel so much like more bonded,
Mm.
but it's
Genuine.
like how the other person is feeling, you know.
I know.
It's like you actually know their genuine feeling, not
Yeah,
oh like uh I feel good, like let's pray. Oh yeah, that kind of thing. Like
I know
it's
what you mean.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to go, but I think we're a little
Yeah.
over time. I'd love to keep talking with you, like keep digging deeper into this, but maybe we'll continue that next podcast then.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It was
thanks for
fun.
coming on, Ivy.
Of course.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.